Am I the a-hole for kicking my brother and his wife out of my house for what they told my son? I'm a single mother living alone with my 13-year-old son. My brother and his wife moved in with us over 2 weeks ago since they lost their apartment because of unemployment. My sister-in-law has been having conflicts with my mom, so I was the only one that was willing to help out. The situation is, my son's room is upstairs along with the room my brother was staying in. My son used to wake up to use the bathroom late at night, which is normal. Every time he walked down the hall, he'd pass his uncle's room. The door was always open, and my brother would get mad when my son walked down the hall and interrupted his and his wife's intimate time. My brother had a conversation with me about it. He said his privacy with his wife was not accommodated by my son constantly passing by their bedroom and interrupting their private time. The reason they left the door open was that the room would get really hot, and keeping the door open gave them a breather, and asked me to give my son's schedule for when it's safe to use the bathroom. I refused and suggested that he get a fan or keep the door shut if he wanted privacy or just stop being intimate, but not try to control my son's movement in his house. The next morning, I found out that my brother told my son he was banned from walking down the hall to use the bathroom from 1 till the morning. My son told me, and I got so irritated and pissed off. I went off and yelled at my brother asking if he really did that. He apologized and said he had no problem with my son taking a second to pass by their room. But his wife was the one uncomfortable and thought it was inappropriate because my son is old enough and understands. It would have been totally fine if he was under 5. Plus, they just wanted privacy without having to suffer hot weather. He came up with a suggestion of me moving my son to be with me in my room, and Mom supported this suggestion just to avoid her daughter-in-law. But I sternly told them I won't be moving my son out of his room under any circumstances whatsoever. I told my brother and his wife to pack their stuff and go look for privacy elsewhere. We clearly can't give it to them. He resisted, but eventually moved in with my mom. My brother is blaming me for the arguments that his wife and mom are having, and my mom isn't speaking to me for putting her in this situation. So, am I the a-hole here? I don't know for how long they'll stay with my mom, but what I did affected her life. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's totally unreasonable for them to say your kid can't pee because they want the door open while they're being intimate. I mean, the audacity here is staggering. Yep, the OP and her son are not the a-holes here. The brother and wife could shut the door or don't be intimate. Both are valid options, but they decided to demand a child not to go to the bathroom instead. That is messed up. Wait. They were having intimate time with the door open? Not the a-hole. I'd kick them out the second time they'd leave it open after telling them to close the door, because there is a 13-year-old kid in the house, for God's sake. My brother mentioned this wasn't good for my son too, but his request was unreasonable. Besides the fact that he told my son he was banned from using the bathroom late at night and steamrolled my opinion. Not the a-hole. You didn't choose to put your mother in that position, so your mother can't be blaming you. And your brother and your sister-in-law are a-holes for trying to ban your son from going to the bathroom. Not the a-hole. They could have easily closed the damn door, or maybe opened a window. A fan is another option, as you said. There were many ways in which to make this work for everyone, with them having the door closed. They just needed to be catered to, you know, while you were bending over backwards to help them by letting them stay with you. There was zero reason to move your son's room, and zero reason he would have to change his habits here because of them. They're by far the a-holes. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my girlfriend equity of my condo? My girlfriend and I have lived together since August 2019 in a rental condo. My income is $320,000 and hers $37,000, and we split our monthly rent of $2,300 so that I pay $1,600 and she pays $700. I pay for our internet cost of $100 a month, and we have no other shared utilities since the unit has heating/water included. My girlfriend works about 30 to 35 hours per week at a job that I got her through my connections, and I work between 60 to 100 hours per week working 2 jobs. As a side effect of this, she takes care of most of the household tasks and cooks most of our meals. She spends about 1.5 hours per day doing household chores and cooking. Now, I've recently purchased a condo with money that I pulled together during the last year or so. Sadly, COVID keeping us at home lets me save up a decent down payment. I also was able to buy a car last year to help us get around safely during the pandemic. We also used that car to teach my girlfriend how to drive. The condo I bought was $970,000. It is in one of the most desirable neighborhoods in our city, and it's a 1,050 square foot, 2-bedroom plus den, 2-bathroom unit. An upgrade from our current rental unit that is about 750 square feet, which is a 1 plus den with 2 bathrooms. The monthly cost for my new condo will be $4,350, mortgage plus maintenance fee. My girlfriend and I plan to move into my new condo on July 1st when I close. My girlfriend had insisted on paying rent in the new place since she knows the cost for me will be much higher than our current living situation. We agreed she could pay $700 a month so that her costs don't change from our current rent. My girlfriend didn't help with the down payment, and she isn't on the mortgage or the title. I had a family lawyer put together a cohabitation agreement to ensure that the condo would remain mine alone. Now, my girlfriend is saying that she thinks she deserves some equity in the property based on the rent that she would pay. It doesn't make sense to me. She pays rent now to our landlords and doesn't expect any ownership or equity, so why would I agree to give her equity in a condo that I own? Am I being an a-hole here? Edit. Adding a few additional details. 1. We agreed that in 3 to 4 years, we would buy a detached home together when she's had time to save up money to contribute to the down payment, and we would jointly own that property together, proportionally. 2. Our city is so expensive that she cannot buy property on her income anywhere, not even within a 3-hour drive of the city. 3. If single, she would be paying $1,600 for rent for her own place, or $1,000 for a room somewhere normal. For $700 a month, she could only get a room in a sketchy area with multiple roommates. 4. We will likely get married in 2 to 3 years or so. 5. She chooses not to get a better job with a higher income, because her current job is very relaxed. She regularly watches movies or takes naps while she's on the clock for work, and so she doesn't want to get a different job that pays more because she's concerned she will have to actually work the hours that are expected. 6. The cohabitation agreement also includes a goodwill payment clause that would give her $10,000 per year we are together, to a limit of $100,000 at 10 years. This way, she would not be left with nothing if our relationship ended. Not day haul. That's not how rent works. Seriously, she's choosing to not take a better paying job to contribute to their expenses/rent, and she's getting a fantastic rent deal. She's getting greedy, to be honest. I don't think you're an a-hole. If you were engaged, I'd probably have a slightly different opinion. However, instead of charging her rent, why don't you have her in charge of living expenses like cable, internet, water, heat, groceries? That way, she isn't actually paying you to live at your place, but she does have financial responsibilities for her living arrangements. I guess it might be around $700 per month, and if it's significantly less, maybe add in the HOA? Given the difference in their pay, $700 is pretty damn high for her as it is. I don't love the cost split here. Equity is best left for marriage, and if that's on the table, they should seriously talk about this. I agree it would be cleaner if she paid a bill or two rather than rent. There is a sometimes fine line and sometimes very broad line between differently paid partners, both contributing and one making a profit off the other. The one who makes significantly more should be careful not to do that. Not day haul. I can't imagine demanding equity in something my partner is buying with his own money. That's not how rent works. If she's insisting on paying rent, it's rent. It's not her paying part of the mortgage. If/when you two get married, revisit it of course. But holy crap. Not day haul. 100% agree with you. I'd explain to her she's renting from you now, instead of a landlord. Would she pay for house renovations, taxes, things that break? Of course not. So why would she get all the benefits without any of the cost? Next story. Would I be the a-hole if we didn't trade our suite at a resort with sister-in-law's regular room for her honeymoon? My sister-in-law is getting married. Since they live in a resort area and we haven't had a vacation in forever, my wife and I decided to turn this trip into a vacation for ourselves. We figured why not, since we would have to pay for the plane tickets to get there anyway. So we planned to stay there for a little over a week after the wedding as well, so we could get some relaxation time. While her parents had invited us to stay with them, we didn't want to impose for so long and wanted some private time, so we looked for places to stay for the week after the wedding. We decided to splurge and get a deluxe suite at a resort instead of a regular room. Anyway, we talked a bit about the wedding and the trip with her family, primarily to let them know when our flight would be landing. We also talked about our plans to extend a trip for a week after the wedding as a little vacation for ourselves and would be staying at one of the resorts. They asked which one, and we told them along with how we got a suite and were excited. It was just a casual conversation. However, some of her family think we should give up our suite at a resort for her sister and her future husband to use on their honeymoon. They couldn't afford to go out of town for a honeymoon, so they had gotten a hotel room in town to stay in after their wedding, which the family had chipped in to pay for. However, the place they have booked is more of a regular hotel with a regular hotel room. It really isn't as nice as ours. Everyone is thinking that it is unfair that we will be staying someplace so much nicer than them when we already had a nice honeymoon, and that we are purposely trying to make the couple feel bad about it. Now for the top comments. Not today, Hall. Tell the person who is complaining to pay for the bride and groom's new room. That would shut them up. Her whole family is insinuating this, and they already all pitched in to pay for the hotel room they have booked. If it's such a great concern for them, they all can pitch in more. Not today, Hull. You're already spending money on flying there, the accommodations, and presumably a gift. It's not your responsibility to provide more, and anyone who is pressuring you is way out of line. The people who think you should give up your suite should either 1. Chip in more money to get them a suite, or 2. Shut the hell up. Either way, problem solved. Why should you guys fund their suite by yourselves when it's other people think they should get a nicer room? They should do both at the same time. Shut the hell up, chip in, and stop bugging Opie. Not today, Hull. You booked a vacation for yourselves. It isn't your fault that sister-in-law and her husband can't afford to take a honeymoon. It isn't your fault that they couldn't get a nicer hotel room at home either. I don't think you were under any obligation to trade rooms with them. And shame on the other family members for guilting you into it for having more disposable income. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for choosing to house my ex-wife instead of my sister? I'm 26 male, sort of caught in this, and I'm not sure if I'm the a-hole. My ex and I married right out of high school. We were pressured because she was pregnant with our daughter. It was a pretty toxic marriage, and we were not mature enough for it at all. We split up before my daughter was 2 and have been better co-parents since. Our daughter's 8 now, and things are great. We co-parent well, respect each other, and more civil than we were ever as a couple. When this whole pandemic happened, we were really struggling. My ex wasn't working the same hours, and we literally were losing money paying for a sitter to watch our daughters since they switched to doing school online. We came up with a solution for my ex to move into my apartment. This was to help each other out. Splitting the rent and bills was a lot easier than us doing it on our own. And since she was working certain hours, she could be home watching our daughters, so we wouldn't spend so much on childcare. It just worked. It's been this way for months, and likely keep it like this until my daughter starts going to school full-time again, and my ex finds better work. My twin sister is in the middle of getting a bad divorce with her husband. The bastard was caught cheating on her. She doesn't have anywhere to stay that's close except for me. But my sister really hates my ex. She's hated her since high school, and I found out that was because she at one time caught a boyfriend of hers with my ex-wife. And then to top it off, she hated all the cheating ex-wife did while we were married. I will say though, we were both constantly cheating throughout our marriage. Neither of us were saints, and I'm glad that we've matured a lot since then for our daughter's sake. My sister knows I also cheated on my ex a lot, but she only acknowledges what ex did during the marriage. And I'm sure it's because it ties into what happened in high school. Still, I offered to let my sister stay, but warned she's gonna have to be used to my ex's presence and be civil in front of my daughter. My ex doesn't care if my sister stays here. She knows the situation, and it's not like she holds anything against my sister's feelings. But my sister absolutely refuses to stay here unless my ex leaves. It's what she's pressuring me to do now because I should understand the feelings this brings up. And yeah, I do. But that was also a long time ago. Plus, we're relying on each other right now. My sister gave me the ultimatum. Either it's my ex or her. And I told her it's going to be my ex because she can't afford to live on her own right now, and that's going to negatively impact our daughter in the long run. I'm being labeled a piece of crap brother now by her for not willing to help her in this situation. Right now, she's having to pay to stay in a motel and keeps telling me she'll end up broke this way because there's no one who can take her in. I just feel bad for the situation and wondering if how I handle this makes me the a-hole. Not the a-hole at all. Your primary responsibility is to your daughter. Supporting her and providing her with a safe and loving living situation is literally a non-negotiable. Providing housing for your sister is just a nice thing to do, and you're even willing to do it. Your sister just wants you to be a piece of crap father by tossing eggs, and against the daughter, out. She's very entitled. No, not my daughter. My sister adores her. The issues are only with my ex-wife. Yeah, but it sounds like your sister, her aunt, isn't actually caring for her by refusing to be reasonable/respectable to her niece's mom. It's actually pretty terrible that she's refusing to put your daughter's well-being above her own. I really hope you understand that this isn't a jab, OP. It's a fact. Your sister doesn't respect your daughter's need for her mother to also be safe and stable. It seems like your sister would rather your daughter not have her mother around than her have to find new accommodations. Not a-hole. You're housing the mother for your child, and your sister wants you to kick her out. Even though you aren't married, you're always going to be a part of each other's lives. Your sister is also conveniently choosing to ignore the fact that you cheated, so that she has a reason to not like your ex-wife. Your sister's not acting like an adult here. She has no say in who gets to live at your house. You're even offering to let her live at your house if she can just behave. She's choosing to stay at the motel. She's choosing to spend that money. Not a-hole. You offered to help your sister out. She just doesn't like the terms. I guess she doesn't need a place to stay that badly. She is a serious a-hole for making you choose. It is awesome that you and your ex have worked out a system that really benefits your daughter. Good job making her your #1 priority. Like, I wish it didn't have to be choice. I get right now she's in a really bad spot and I want to help. I can't financially, so this would have been the only way to be able to. I'm glad we did too. It's taken off a ton of stress and my daughter's enjoying it.